Right, we're off somewhere special for me. Damflask Reservoir. I'm going to class this as my local venue. 1 mile from my house. Super local. I absolutely love this place. It's only just over hill from Underbank Reservoir, which is probably my second favourite venue. And yeah, open match today. It's quite cold, 7 degrees, and we are we don't know what to expect. We've got a 2-day festival coming up next weekend. 1 day on Underbank and 1 day on Damflask. So this is a little practice and let's see how we go. I think we're all going to be put on the scout outside, and yeah, hopefully there'll be a few fish to be caught. Let's see if we can work it out. We fished Underbank last weekend and hopefully we worked a few things out. I know we caught a few fish, but I reckon if you get your feeding right, there's fish to be caught. So let's see where we get drawn. Let's get on bank and let's get down to one of my favourite venues. Right, so anyone who isn't familiar with Damflask, this is it. It's situated on the outskirts of Sheffield, a couple of miles away from Underbank, and it's just a reservoir that holds water. Do a bit of boating on it, and there's a few matches each year on it. Not as much fishing as there should be. This is the res. It's split up into little sections. One of them is, the first one is which we call the match length, and as you go around, this goes into the scout hut, round to the ticket office, to the bus stop length, into the bay, to the quarry, and then last of all you've got the plantation. These are the sections we use in the matches, and we split it up depending on what the water level's like. Can't always use some pegs sometimes a year because the water's too high and it goes into trees, so we just literally peg where we can, fish where we can, and each time of year fish are in different depths. We try to put it where the fish are feeding that time of year. Right, so our mix today is going to be sweet fish meal, and we mix this a little bit different for venues like this, which are deep. We're going to make it quite dark. We're going to be adding some black dye, but as you can see, to my dry ground bait, they had a crap load of water. It's literally like sloppy paste. I don't know if you can see that. That is literally like that, but we'll leave that half an hour, and that will take on all water we need it to take on, and it'll become heavy. It'll get to bottom. We might have 20 or 30 foot here, so we want this ground bait to absorb all water. As you can see already, it's starting to it's like paste really, starting to firm up, but just leave that for half an hour. It'll become like a cake, and then we'll break it up, sieve it, and we know that's had like, it's had, if there's 2 pints of ground bait, it's had a pint of water, which when you first mix it up you'll realise it is way sloppy, but that's the only way to mix it for my liking on these sort of venues. I don't want to be adding little bits of water. I want to know it's had all water it can in 1 hit, and we're away to go. So like I said, as ground bait's had 3/4 of an hour now, I look at it, you can literally pick it up like that. But we know it's stuck on all water it's going to, so all we'll do is we'll sieve that out, we'll riddle that, get it nice and fluffy, nice and fine, but we know we don't have to add any more water. That literally is exactly what we want it. If we need it a bit darker, we can always add a bit of dye to it once we've sieved it off, but at the minute it's a real dark green, and it'll blend in with this bottom. If you look, this is like, that's what the bottom looks like, that's what our ground bait looks like. So when that's a bit darker in water, mixes in together, so that sort of thing we're matching. You know, this sort of sludge on bottom to ground bait, we don't want it to stand out, we want it to be inconspicuous on bottom and attract the fish, and hopefully hold them for a bit longer because they won't be spooked. Right, peg 23, this is us. That is the dam wall. pegs all the way into this corner. As you come round, obviously people who know the thing, this is the ticket office here. This goes round into what they call the bay. You've got the plantation over this lump here, and on this side further up you've got the match length. So we are a super simple day. We've got maggots and pinkies. We have a few pellets in case we have to sit for a bream, but we won't be putting many of them in. We've got a few chop worms and worms to put on, but we won't be putting them in until we need it as an impact, or we feel we have to put worm on the hook. And then we've got our dark ground bait there ready to go. So I've plumbed up, and from about 46 to 50 it's same sort of depth in between, like a 9 count with 30 gram bombs, so I reckon with 18 to 20 foot, so I feel that's deep enough. So we're going to start there. Don't mean we will fish there all day. We'll see how it goes in first hour, and then we might move. If we're getting bites, we'll stay there. If we're not, we'll move, we'll go further, we'll come short, we'll see what's happening. So my setup could not be any easier today. I've got 12 foot superas, I've got braid, I've got like 6 metres up and down shocker, 7 metres of 8 pound detection, and then this runs down to a little tiny little free running rig. This is a little link that I've made, and then we've just got a free running rig. Both of them are clipped up at the same. We're going to start there and see how it goes. First hour will be imperative to see if we get any bites. We're going to get a bit of rain later, so everything's under cover. We've got this trusty old Aqualock side tray with everything tucked away. We can stick all this bait in there, and that is it. So there's a few on today. The favoured pegs are going to be around this corner. It's a bit deeper, shorter, so we shall see. But apart from that, all looks like bobcat up on M pegs standard. We'll see how it goes. We can only try as best. We're definitely going to get some rain later, so we might end up with brolly up, so we'll try and film as much as we can. Let's see how we go. I think people are talking 10 to 15 pound to win it, which will be made up with skimmers, 25 to 40 skimmers maybe. There is a chance at odd bream feeding this time of year. They haven't fed this year. Last match they caught a few, but if we're fishing, if we like sitting longer for bites, there's more chance of catching a bream because you sat there waiting, setting a trap. So we might end up doing a little bit of bream fishing last half at match, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Right, we're a couple of minutes from start. We're going to feed 3 or 4 of them at start. Literally a pinch of pinkies in each one like that. Just ground bait. No worms at start. We're going to set off fishing. Double pinky and a maggot. Maybe just single maggot, single pinky. We're going to see if there's any bites. That's time now, so let's see how we get on. The depths vary, yeah. To my left they've got a 19 count. I've got a 10 count, and to my right they've got a 6 count, so we will find out what the fish want to sit in today very quickly.
So today's session, we've tied up the trusty old Tubertini Series 18s. All these are tied up to 0.128 new fish exact hook length line. All tied up to 1 metre, so we can vary the different lengths throughout the day.
We're going to set off as we always do, fish in a cage, allow us to release the ground bait quick, get a bit of ground bait in as peg in first hour, bit of activity, and we'll hopefully attract a few fish, and then when we change over to a winder later we can concentrate the bait on the bottom. We've used a winder to get the bait down, so we know there's a little bit on bottom, and we're just going to feed this with a few pinkies in. We've got us double pinky hook bait starting bait, and then see how we go from this. Hopefully we can get bites within the first hour and see how we go. We'll probably sort of having 5-minute chucks this first hour to get a bit of bait in the peg. If we feel the bait's releasing too quick, we can always put this feeder on, which is a bit heavier, gets down quicker, but we've taped it up. So it still releases it because of the big gap, but it just changes how we feed as bait. Sometimes you just got to mess around with how you feed to how the fish want it that particular day. At the minute there's nothing right and wrong until we get fishing. We've got a few pellets, and we'll put a few of these in sparingly as we fish. If there's any bream about, these will stay on bottom until bream turn up. There's less chance of the little skimmers eating these pellets, so it just allows us to put a little bit of bait in for if any bream does turn up. Later on in the day when we put some bait in, we might actually put a hit of bait if there's some bream feeding, but until we see what's happening we won't know. The lad to my right has gone longer than me, so it'll be a good gauge to see if the fish are in the deeper water, and the lads to my left have gone shorter, so had a little line bite then, which is a good sign. 1 minute 50 into first cast. It went a proper bite. Up bait ain't touched. Sometimes you get quite a few liners with creating some activity. We're not pushing the ground bait into the feeder very hard. We're just thumbing it in softly, so it releases within the first 20 seconds. Right, we're 3/4 of an hour in now, and we had that one liner very first chuck in first minute, and it hasn't moved since. I've seen a couple of fish caught to my left and a perch caught to my right, so there's not a lot feeding, but I haven't generated a bite yet, so I've got a couple of options now. I'm going to give it another, I'm on my 8th chuck now, so I've got a little bit of ground bait in now, so my next option is to chop a few worms and see if that creates a little bite. If not, we're going to be getting the other rod out and doing a bit of chasing, just keep going longer and longer and longer until we get a bite. This will be my main line, what I'll come back to later on, but for the first half of the match we might have to go chasing into deeper water. I don't think there'll be any fish shallower. Coop to my left has caught 2 skimmers and he's way longer than me. He's also got a deeper peg as well. It deepens off to my left really deep, so we might have to go into a little bit deeper water further out. That's the 2 options I've got at the minute, but until an hour's gone we're not in panic mode, because we'll try the little worm trick, see if it kickstarts my peg, and if not we'll do a bit of chasing.
we've absolutely chopped these worms as fine as we can. Don't think we could literally get any finer. They're just a real sloppy mush. We just want to put a scent in water, but not really feed them, but give them little flecks just to keep them busy and hopefully grab their attention and force them to start feeding. Right, so we're going to introduce a few worms now. Literally, only a pinch, but get some smell in the water. We're going to change over to a window feeder to make sure all these worms get to the bottom. If we're going to use these worms as an impact, we want to make sure they all get to the bottom and see if they do right. Nice and smooth. Still on. Maggot and a pinky. Right, that hasn't worked. The worms had no effect, so we are going to start creeping out. We're going to probably have 3-minute chucks, keep putting 3 meters on until we get a bite. We can always come back to this starting line because we've got a bit of bait in. But yeah, so we'll unclip this one now, and we're already clipped. We've got 2 clips on this. We're already clipped up 3 meters past the first go. So let's see. We'll go 3 meters now. 3-minute chucks. Then we'll just creep out 2 meters at a time. 3-minute chucks until we get a set bite, and then we'll know if it is a distance and depth thing. If it ain't, we'll come back and build his line back up. Light next peg's got 4 or 5 skimmers now. He's definitely fishing longer than me, but it's got a different depth, and but he's getting bites and we're not, so we've got to do something. We're 1 hour in now, past 1 hour in. 1 hour 10 in, we out of bite. Very first chuck, 3 meters past where I've been fishing. Had a bite in 3 minutes. So we'll just repeat that process, see if they. If not, we'll just put another couple of meters on. fish. So this creeping out just goes to show they didn't want to come to the feed, they just want to sit where they are. So we sat an hour, we had a bite, and now we're getting a few bites, so at least we know we're heading in the right direction. We can always come back to that starting line where we've got a bit of bait in later on. It's not going to work with the rod still flips and put that. They're not massive fish these, but they bites. Double pinkett, a minuscule piece of worm, bit of worm and a couple of pinkies. We've still got a medium feeder on. If we get a few more bites, we'll cut down once we get a bit of ground bait in. We'll cut down to a little tiny window, see if we can catch a few. Probably only a second difference in depth, but that 3 or 4 foot can make all the difference if they don't want to sit. If they want to sit in that depth, they want to sit in that depth. They were there before we started, so we might be able to attract them a bit shorter later on. But at the minute we've got to try and find where they want to sit. This is crazy, we're now getting a sign every choke. We're only 6 minutes past where we started. This could also be a time of day thing, so we might drop back on that starting line just in a minute, just to see if there's any fish there, because we've got more bait there. But getting bites under a minute now, which is crazy. They're only small, but it's the starting point. Four now. Just had four bites in the last 4 chucks, all under a minute, and I hadn't had a bite up to then. No, just yeah, it's mad. You can just go from, I was staring at it, you know, for an hour and a quarter to literally bites on drop. Shame they're not very big. They're catching the below us. The Hawk Brill. We'll just catch some bream later on. So I've started to get bites out here, but before I build this peg up too much, I'm in case it's just a time of day thing, I'm going to drop back onto my original starting line, see if there's any fish there, because I don't want to build two pegs up if they've come in and they're on the other peg, on the other starting line, which has got more bait in. So just have a couple more chucks with this and then we'll drop back on, see if we get a quick bite. If not, we'll probably feed a little bit on that starting line and then go back on this longer line. They're only small fish, that's the only problem. They're not very good weight builders, we haven't had to net one yet. So if we're playing catch up, we ideally could do with some better stamp fish, but you can only catch what's in front of you. Right, like we said, although we're catching some fish out there, we're just going to have a drop back on our starting line. Just for my own peace of mind, it'll tell me whether it were that line or whether it was a time of day thing. We'll only have a couple of quick chucks if we don't get a bite, but it's not going to hurt anything if they're on this line. Because it's shorter, we'll catch them quicker. But this will tell us a few things as well. Instantly back on a starting line. Got a bite. So we might have attracted a few fish in, or they just weren't there for the first time. This is ideally where we want to catch them. It's a nicer bottom, 6 metres closer, so it's easy to get to. Weather's going to turn any minute now, so the closer we are, the better. Oh, what hand size bream? I only netted that because my net looked lonely, all dry. So we've banged on 2 hours in now, and there's an armada of boats come out, but we're on 8 fish now. To say our first hour and a quarter went with no fish, we're getting bites. We've dropped back on our starting line and had 2 very quick fish and missed a bite. So it could have been a time of day thing. It could have also just been we could have caught some fish longer if we'd have started longer, but it's told us something that liner then yeah, it's told us that obviously the fish now have moved or have gone down or wherever they were. We probably would have caught them if we'd have started longer, but we've now got 2 lines what we can go on. Got this starting line what's got more bait in than anything else. I've made 24 casts total, so quite a bit of bait on it. A good pint and a half of ground bait on it over the 2 lines, but I don't want to split my fish over 2 lines. I ideally want them on 1 line, so I've gone back on this starting line to see if we can catch us quick. If not, don't mean I'm going to stay on it, but I've always got a bit of feed here to come back to. If it is hard, we might have to swap between both lines. I just have to keep picking fish off both of them and split my fish. So we'll just see how this goes now. See if these boats might make a difference. Might push fish down, might also push them away, you don't know. But we'll see. Might make it awkward for casting. Have to cast in between both, but let's see. At least we've caught some fish now. We've got a starting point. Nine, how many you got? You what? Oh, you can't ask me and then not know answer to yours. I bet you'll be on 12 or 14, won't you? Easy. More maybe. You were on at 8 or 9 before I caught one. Maybe a few more than that. You still getting signs of bites? Yeah. They're the ones we're after. So we're 2 3/4 hours in, and since that bream, or that better fish that we caught, we haven't, this peg's gone a bit weird on this starting line, so I'm contemplating now going back out long. Whether this needs to settle or whether something spooked him, whether some fish came in and went, I don't know, but it's not right. I went from having bites to about 20 minutes now. I've tried to catch a bigger and with worms on, but even sitting there with kinkies on, I'm not getting the bites. So something's happened, whether it's a pike or whether a couple of bigger fish have moved in. Perhaps you just need to get confidence. So I'm just going to switch to the other line, see what happens, and then come back on this in 10 or 15 minutes if there's no bites on the other line. What are we, lads? Let's have a look. We're 3 1/4 hours in, and them little fish have done a little bit of a disappearing act. It were after we caught that better, and so I don't know if it were to do with catching that better and if some better fish come in, if a pike's gone in and spooked it, but we're going to take a bit of a gamble now. We've put before I come off that, what I'm going to call my starting line, 44 metres, I fed a good hit of worms and pellets. So I've left it alone for 20 minutes, and I'm going to chuck a little method over it. We'll after to see if there is any big ones. We're going to take a bit of a gamble now and see if we can fish for them bigger fish, because we're definitely going nowhere with the small ones. We're on 15 fish total. So this is where we're just going to play a little gamble game and see if we can catch a bigger one or a couple of bigger ones. I've clipped this up 1 metre past my bait, so I know my method's going to be sat in clean water. Just feel there's going to be little piles of bait everywhere in my peg, so by just fishing 1 metre past just allows me to fish in total clean water, and we shall see. We're going to give this a couple of minutes and fish in this style method, like a hybrid style method at first, but if we're getting any signs, we'll change over to an actual little method and mould it on. But this protects the bait a bit better on the cast, so we shall see what happens now. The bites might stop because 3 or 4 better fish might have come in and they just need catching. We had a few funny liners and we caught 2 or 3 fish back on as longer line, but we'll just give this a 15-20 minute gamble now, see if we can catch a proper one. We don't really need to do anything. If it's on, it's on. On this one we've got a 16 hook Kamazan B983 on a little air and a little tiny yellow wafter on a short hook length, which is Bluefish Exact 0.165. So it's not mega heavy, but it's heavy enough to just keep a nice stiff bit of line on bottom. We just had a liner then. Could be small fish attacking feeder, it could also be some bigger fish. If we get too many liners, we'll take that metre off and come back over as bait, because we've cast it over as feed area. There's a chance we could be getting liners from that area, but we'll work it out if there's any there to be caught. Brilliant pike socket. The pike had it. Was let go of it. There's not much of that fish left. Still alive though. That might have been sat over as bait for ages. That might be why it went a bit iffy. Now that's moved, perhaps we'll catch a few now. Right, we've 1¼ hours left here and this isn't happening. The small fish are dead sketchy, they come and go. We've had that one better fish but we haven't had any other signs. Definitely could have fished this line a bit too short today. But we've sort of made us bed in it and lied in it now. Well, I went on that longer line and got some bites but there were no bigger fish. When I come back on each line I get quick bites but then they soon peter off, so I don't believe there's enough fish there to keep the bites coming. Just keep getting odd little bites and odd little fish, but they're not massive. we had a go on that method and it never moved. We had a couple of line bites, but they could have just been off these small fish. So people are talking that to my left, where it's a lot deeper, there's more fish to be caught. There's been a couple of bigger fish caught down there, but the depth they're fishing in I can't get into, so that's just what happens this time of year. That if they want to sit in that deeper water, they'll be in deeper water. If they want to sit in my depth of water, the deeper pegs won't catch. But every week's going to be different as this water goes up and down and colder water comes in. It could be too cold in that deep water soon. It could also be even better, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. I've had it then. Yeah, that's not good. Oh, it's just, see that? Yeah. That were on third twitch and all.
Time!
So that last hour turned out to be last hour and a half because we fished a little bit later than I thought we were. It's not 5 hours, fished 5.5 hours, so it's been the best part of my match. We've ended up with 39 fish, 39 skimmers, a couple of netters. Don't know what they're weighing. With me having brolly up, I can't tell what everyone else has caught, so until the scales come, we ain't got a clue. So it's a bit tudge wet now, but we'll get packed away, see what everyone's caught and see how we've fared. I believe the first hour and a half hadn't helped me where I couldn't catch a fish. That's probably cost me getting to 50 fish, so, and they're only small. So we'll have to have a think about what happened, whether I weren't far enough out or it was just time of day. But we'll see what everyone else has caught, and we'll probably listen when everyone's weighing in, see how they've caught, where they've caught, what count they've had, and then we'll be able to gauge some info for the 2-day festival next week. But we'll get packed away now and see how we've gone on when scales come.
Depends on wind. Wind blows into it down here, so I think a lot better.
Right, so we've just weighed in. I weighed £9 odd, £9.10 were it. There's been a £13 that's won it, £10, £11 was second, and I'm third with my £9. So the first hour's cost me really, just not being able to catch them fish. But did I catch better later on because I was shorter and in shallow water? We'll never know, but I reckon I figured a few things out with the feeding later on when them fish were there. But the lads who've beat me, both of them have had better stamp fish, so it could be a depth thing and a time of day thing. But yeah, we've done all right. We'll I think they're paying, I don't know if they're paying top 2 or top 3. If they're paying top 3, we've come third. If not, we've definitely won section. So a few pennies back, and let's get home and get dried out. It's definitely been wet these last few hours. I don't know how much at filming I've caught, but hopefully there's been a bit. And yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, we'll put some more videos on as and when we do them. We're back on here next weekend for a 2-dayer. We'll try and film it, weather permitting. So yeah, cheers for watching and keep on bagging, and we'll see you on bank soon.